guys, welcome to Raw Customs. I'm your host, Patrick Rapolo, and on this episode, I'm going to be showing you how to make a Spartan helmet. Now this just happens to be one of those last minute builds that I threw together. My oldest boy decided that he wanted to be a Spartan for Halloween, so I actually just dug around the garage, found a few parts, threw them together, and this is what I came up with. Now I know a lot of y'all have actually been asking for this. You've seen it just sitting around in the background for the last couple of years. So I actually got around to making a tutorial. So I've built a new one, changed the colors a little bit just to try something new and to get a new look. So this is one that I'm actually building in the video. Now to start with, you're going to need a Bob the Builder hat. Can we build it? Yes, we can. Alright, now this just happens to be a kid's construction helmet. I picked it up at the dollar store, Family Dollar to be exact. Just $1 for that. Now while you're up at the dollar store, you'll also need to pick up a couple of brooms. This is to make the mohawk, and you'll need 2 of them to make it nice and thick. You'll also be needing 2 sheets of 5mm foam. This is just craft foam. I've actually picked this up at Hobby Lobby, so you might try that place first. If you don't have a local Hobby Lobby, try a couple of other craft stores. This is actually a 12 by 18 sheet. Like I said, you'll be needing 2 of those. Well, alright guys, this is how to do it. For this build, you're going to need 2 sheets of 5mm foam, a kid's construction helmet, contact cement, plasti dip, paint and primer, a heat gun, hot glue gun, razor knife, a rotary tool, an airbrush, a pair of scissors, and 2 brooms. I started out by tracing the template onto 5mm foam. Once the template is traced, it was then cut out with a razor knife. Then a heat gun was used to heat the piece up, and then the main piece formed and curved. Once the piece was cooled, I applied contact cement to the center edge on both pieces, and then allowed the contact cement to set up. Once the cement is set up, I press the 2 pieces together, starting at the top edge and working my way down to the nose area, being careful to keep everything nice and flush at the front of the helmet. Next, I cut slits into a piece of cardstock to make a template for the top of the helmet. Then the cardstock was laid on top of the helmet, and the flaps bent along the helmet to mark the curve. Once the curve was marked, that section was cut out with some scissors and checked for fit. I traced the curve onto a new piece of cardstock. Marks are made 1.5 inches above the curve, and the marks connected to draw out my template. The template was transferred to 5mm foam and 2 copies cut out. Next, I marked and cut the width for the center section and then the height. I marked and cut off the brim of the helmet on the sides and the front, but I left the portion in the back. To make the cuts, I used a Dremel with a cut-off wheel. Once my cuts were made, I cleaned the edges with a razor. Next, I put the helmet on and slanted it down to the back of my head. The mask set in place and the edges marked. The areas were marked off where the cement needed to be applied. Once the cement is set up, the two pieces were joined together, making sure to line up the mask onto the marks on the helmet. Next, I grabbed a piece of cardstock. I used the back brim of the helmet to mark a curve, and then that was cut out. The cardstock laid on the front of the helmet and curved with the contour of the mask. One side of the mask traced, and then the cardstock was folded in half. The template was cut out and then checked for fit. The template was transferred to 5mm foam and then cut out. Here I made a change and cut off the point of the template just to make a better fit. This is just how it goes sometimes when you're building as you go. Next, the edge was marked so I'd know where to apply the cement. Then cement applied to the back of the mask and the edge of my insert, and then pressed into place. Here I'm using the same methods as before to make a template for the back of the helmet. When making templates like this, it may take several cuts. Just be patient and take it one cut at a time, and eventually your piece will fit just the way you want it to. Once the template was transferred to foam and cut out, it is glued down to the top side of the brim of the back of the helmet. Next, I made a template for the side of the helmet that would wrap around to the back. The template was cut and transferred to foam. The foam was then heated up and formed to match the curve of the helmet. The area marked off and then glued into place. Next, I freehanded a piece just to add a little bit more design to add to the back of the helmet. Next, cement was applied to the edges to the pieces for the mohawk, and then the piece assembled. Hot glue was applied to the bottom edges of the mohawk, and then the piece glued into place. To add battle damage, I used a razor to cut shallow slits into the mask, and a heat gun to open up the cuts. Once the helmet was built, I used 2 coats of Plasti Dip to seal everything. That was followed up by 2 coats of primer, and everything finished up with 2 coats of silver paint.
Next, I grabbed the airbrush and a mesh stencil to add a little texture to the helmet. To keep the pattern from being uniform, I painted small areas at a time, twisting the stencil as I went. To make the mohawk, I used bristles from a broom. I cut off small sections at a time, then applied hot glue to the bottom of the bristles. The bristles were then lined up on the inside of the mohawk guard. I tried to spread the bristles out as much as possible to keep them from getting too thick.
Alright guys, there you go, my Spartan helmet and a few techniques on making some templates for yourself. I hope you picked up on that and I hope it serves you in your builds. Now as far as this helmet itself, since you're actually using the bristles on here, it adds quite a bit of weight to the back of this since this is plastic and foam and it's real light. So one of the problems with this is it's back heavy, so if you tilt back you can see that the helmet wants to go back. But there's a solution for that. There's a nice little space up here between the actual construction helmet and the foam. So my solution to that is just to take and glue a little bit of weight, something a little bit heavier up here in the front top portion, and that'll take care of that problem for you. I didn't have anything laying around that I wanted to glue in there at the moment, so that's why I didn't show it in the video. Now as far as using contact cement or hot glue, pretty much whatever you prefer. This first one is actually 100% hot glued together. I've just got to a point where I prefer to use contact cement wherever I can, but there's a lot of times that hot glue is just a better option to hold the pieces together, like when I used for the top of the mohawk guard here. Now one more little thing, a sneak peek on something I'm working on for a future tutorial. Biker Scout helmet, I'm working on that. I want to work out all the bugs and everything and figure out how to simplify it as much as I can to give y'all guys a good build, but I plan on getting that out before the end of the year, before the new Star Wars comes out. Well, alright guys, that's it for this episode. God bless, good luck on your builds, and Sparta!